Alrighty, I'm back for another week. I wasn't sure whether I would keep doing this as a regular thing, but I thought I'd give it a shot. Maybe a couple more weeks, see how I go. Today's Raw, I feel it was a little bit better. They seemed to pack a lot more in to the show. More storyline progression. But I'll get to a bit more of that at the end. We started out with Roman coming out, then Shane McMahon bragging about how good he is, how much he's the best in the world, and all that. Roman says he's going to beat Shane's and Drew's ass, Drew McIntyre. McIntyre comes out, back and forth between them. Says, why wait for the match? Let's have the match right now. At that point, the Revival attacked Roman from behind. Usos came out to save Roman. And they made it a 6-man tag right then and there. Roman, I think Roman got beat at the end. I think he got beat at the end. So we didn't waste 50 minutes like last week before we got to a match. It was maybe 5 minutes and then we were into a match, which is a little bit better than last week. Next we had Miz TV with Seth Rollins. They were talking about Seth versus Brock. Seth. They were talking about Brock cashing in on Seth, is what I meant. Supposedly cashing in tonight. Backstage we see car pull up, out hops Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar. Paul Heyman says, let's cash it in. They go to walk to the ring. Brock stops and says, not yet, and turns and walks into another backstage area. Next we have Lucha House Party out for, I think they said they're coming out for a tag match, but Lars Sullivan came out. Lucha Party hold their own against him, drive him out to the ring, and that was it. So that was a point where I was like, what's the point of that? Are they going to continue this feud or run it out and start something else? This has been 3 or 4 weeks now, I think, for these competitors to have a feud. There's no real story to it, no real point, I don't think. So that was one thing that could have been changed, I think. Next we got Nikki Cross and the Iconics backstage, or the Idiotics as I say. Iconics called Nikki a dog. Not sure why. In walks Alexa Bliss, takes a verbal jab at the Iconics. I can't remember what it was now. The Iconics walk out with their lame catchphrase. Alexa and Nikki continue to chat, and Alexa says she'll accompany Nikki to the ring tonight for her match against Peyton Royce. Next we have Becky Lynch coming out. Becky Lynch, good old Becky Lynch, the man. Becky Two Belts, or ex-Becky Two Belts. She comes out, and the crowd seems to fire up with her entrance. She stands there, they play a video package, they cut back to her, and then they cut to a break. So essentially she's standing in the ring for minutes doing nothing. They could have waited and brought her out after the break. Back from the break, she speaks on what she's been up to with touring and filming the shows and whatnot. Lots of crowd support from the crowd. She says she's pissed off at Lacey, and one thing she's learning is she'll come back and fight better and better, because nobody likes a complacent champion. They can get hurt, and they can essentially lose. So she's not going to do that anymore. Out comes Lacey, running her mouth, says she'll be the next Raw Women's Champion. Then Flair's music hits, and out comes Charlotte Flair. Charlotte says she beat Becky. Becky needs to shut up. Back and forth verbally between all three. Then Lacey attacks Charlotte with a women's right. So then all of a sudden there's a ref there, so it's making a match. Evans versus Flair. Charlotte's strong to start with. Becky's standing outside watching. Lots of crowd chants for "We love Becky, we love Becky." Decent match. At the end, Becky interferes on Flair, causing a disqualification, and therefore Lacey wins by DQ. Becky attacks Lacey and then walks to the back. Then we have Rey Mysterio coming out holding the title. He speaks on his involvement with wrestling, with the company, with WWE. Speaks on his family's involvement with wrestling and with the WWE. A small Eddie chant starts up in the crowd, I noticed, which was acknowledged by Rey. Rey says now that his son Dominic is training to be a wrestler, he has to set a good example as a man and as a champ. Out comes Samoa Joe. Bit of smack talk between the two. Rey relinquishes the US Championship to Joe. Joe attacks Rey as Rey goes to leave. Gets a Kikita clutch on Rey. Refs run in and break it up. Cut to a little backstage. We see Brock and Heyman talking. Then Braun Strowman coming out of the ring for an arm wrestle against Bobby Lashley. Don't know the point, really. So Braun comes out, then they cut to an ad. And recorded video promos from Cesaro and Ricochet. I didn't pay attention to them. Zoomed right through, not interested. Back from the ad and the messages, and Lashley comes out. They go to start. They get their arms ready in position on the table. Lashley slaps Braun Strowman. Braun turns the arm wrestle podium over and goes for Lashley, but refs calm him down. They go to start again. Lashley taunts before he goes to start. They grip hands. Lashley slips out. Complains. Slips out of Braun's hand, sweaty palm, lose the grip, whatever. So they both chalk their hands. They go to start again. Bit of back and forth with who's going to win the arm wrestle. Strowman ends up winning. To which Lashley slaps and throws the hand chalk into Braun's eyes and attacks Braun. Next we get 24/7 championship footage at a golf course, no less. R-Truth in his golf outfit, I suppose you call it, at a golf course, at a golf cart. All of a sudden, Jinder Mahal runs in his wrestling gear at a golf course. Really? Why? Why not a pair of pants and a shirt? Why is Jinder in his wrestling outfit and not R-Truth? Doesn't make any sense. So Jinder tries to get the belt a couple of times. R-Truth jumps in the cart and they drive off. Then it cuts to backstage. We see Carmella looking for R-Truth, creeping along the halls trying to find him. Then we see EC3 with Drake Maverick sneaking along, following her, trying to find R-Truth so that they can get the belt. Next we have Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss versus Peyton Royce. Royce leads the match. 2 counts by both early in the match. Rope tie-up move on Cross by Peyton Royce. Not sure of the move, they didn't mention it. Royce leads the match. Nikki Cross fights back. Then all of a sudden some stagehand brings a cup of coffee down for Alexa Bliss. Peyton Royce knocks the cup of coffee out of her hand, and then Alexa gets knocked into the coffee puddle. Nikki pulls a neck breaker on Peyton Royce to win the match. A pissed off Alexa Bliss goes after Billie Kay and beats her up a bit, and then Nikki and Alexa celebrate Nikki's win in the ring. There's quite a fair bit of stuff going on in the show, as you can see. Some of it's relevant, some of it not so much. Next we got Rollins in the ring. Out comes Baron Corbin talking trash. Seth attacks Baron Corbin. Then we hear Brock's music. Seth gets distracted. Baron hits the end of days to Rollins and goes to leave. Then Brock's music hits again, and out he comes with Heyman carrying the case and a referee. Brock. Sorry. Brock with a cheap shot and lots of chair shots to Rollins. Paul tries to get him to cash in the case a couple of times. Brock eventually screams at him, "Not now." There's an F5 to Seth outside the ring. They cut to a shot of Paul Heyman looking perplexed that Brock's not continuing the promise of cashing in. Brock continues beating up on Seth. Paul Heyman again tries to get him to cash it in. Brock screams at him repeatedly. He says, Friday. I'll do it Friday. So obviously something's going to happen at the Super Showdown at Jeddah in Saudi Arabia on Friday. Brock throws the belt on Rollins, and both him and Paul go to walk up to the back. Then Brock grabs the case, walks back to the ring, attacks Rollins with the case, more chair shots, and then we get Boombox Brock with the case on his shoulder as he walks back to the back. Seth lying in the ring, his back's cut up and whatnot. They get the medical team out there to stretcher him out. And then they come back from a break, and you see him being led to the ambulance with Becky walking along by his side. They put him in the ambulance, and she gets in, and the ambulance goes off to whatever medical facility the WWE wants to put him in. A little bit of a jab there at the WWE from me. Firefly Funhouse segment. We got a very special episode apparently. It's talking about exercise. Something I should do more of, but working on that slowly. We're introduced to a new character called Huskus the Pig Boy. I'm guessing this is a bit of a dig on Bray's early character of Husky Harris that Bray was when he got started. Then the door opens and an obvious Vince puppet sticks his head in. It says they need to get their act together or they'll be, he goes to say they'll be fired, but Bray cuts him off. Then there's some sort of cheesy 80s music video to exercise along to or something. I don't know. I think the longer they drag out these Firefly Funhouse segments, they're dragging it out too long. They needed to do 1, 2, maybe 3, introduce him for matches, and maybe continue doing it, but they've just been dragging it out too long. I think they need to get him in the ring, get him in action, continue the storylines that way. And Again, just another minor point that I have an issue with this week. Next we got Triple H coming out of the ring, then Randy Orton. To quote Triple H's words, they came out to drum up interest in their match at the Super Showdown. Something said that nothing they say they haven't already said before. Triple H will kick Randy's ass. Randy will gladly kill another legend. Triple H says Randy will not be the one to end his career. Many have tried, yet he's still here. Trips goes to leave. Randy makes a jab that before Friday comes, Randy wants him to retrieve his testicles from Stephanie's purse. Triple H says that's a good idea. They're a burden to lug around. They're so big, but maybe he can try fit them in his carry-on luggage and put them in the overhead compartment. And then quips that Randy wouldn't know what it's like because Randy doesn't have any testicles. Next match, we have Ricochet versus Cesaro. I really wasn't interested in this, not interested in this storyline at all, really. I zoomed through, hit the fast forward button, but cut to the end, and Cesaro had to rewind for this bit a little bit. Cesaro pulls the table from under the ring, and we see R-Truth lying on the table. So we get a bit of a 24/7 belt melee. Truth and Carmella run off after Carmella super kicks Drake Maverick. And last but not least, we got my man, The Undertaker. What I've been looking forward to the whole night. Obviously, they dragged it out because it was such a highlight. Seeing Undertaker is very rare these days. So he comes out of the ring looking good, sounding good. Taker versus Goldberg at Super Showdown this Friday. That's what they're trying to drum up interest for. Lots of crowd chants. And essentially, Taker says he doesn't want Goldberg the family man. He wants the unstoppable mythical icon Goldberg. He says he wants nothing but the best from Goldberg. If he brings less, this first match between the two will be the last. He says, Goldberg, you're next. And that's the end of the show. Lots packed into this show as opposed to what seemed like last week. Last week just seemed not a lot. I don't know whether that was because it was not a lot or just because it was so crap. WWE still need to pull up their game, in my opinion. But I think it was a bit of an improvement on last week. I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. Could be better. At least it wasn't worse. So I'm coming up to 20 minutes. I think that's going to be quite enough from me for this week. If you like what I've said, want to follow me some more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Leave me any questions if you want to know more about me or whatever. I might do some different style videos coming up if there's any interest. But thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to me drivel on for 20 minutes. Goodness knows you didn't have to. Catch you later from down under.